I'm going to introduce a couple more editing or writing functions. They have it here that Autodesk does not have, or whatever. I think it's useful information for you. Is this curve. So if you click on that, you're ready to sketch a curve. As a mathematician or math teachers, and when you can write the curve and draw it nicely, but sometimes it's very useful. You can draw it nicely. So we start from here and determine the kind of velocity vector here of the curve. It's the small velocity and the larger velocity vector. Think about this as the trajectory of the motion of a particle. So it's a large velocity. And if you click on it here, that you can see that it determines the velocity over there, and then you're about to determine the second velocity motion here. It's just a little velocity, and that's the Bezier curve. So once you're done with this editing, creating this curve, you go back and hit it 2 times. It'll give you option to what to do with this one. You can turn this one, you can edit it, and you can move it. You can turn that into a stroke path. That's what we want to right now. Turn that into an actual drawing. So you have to choose some of the options there and stroke, and then it's gonna turn this one nicely into a path and very smooth, and using the simple interpolation with the derivative information. The next function I would like to go over is the function that almost all the drawing software has, is the picking of colors. And if you want to do exact same color as this green one here, and carefully go ahead and choose that, and it'll indicate down here that it selected the color correctly. Then you can reproduce, and here write something else. An area of this one is going to be half times a times b, where b serves as an altitude of the triangle. So next editing tool I'd like to introduce is something extremely useful. It is moving things around. That is something you do all the time, and you write it and decided, okay, I'm going to write actually this thing, move the entire thing down to somewhere else and stuff like that. So here we're going to go ahead and use this rectangular tool. You can use this arbitrary shape tool to select it, but I'm going to move this fundamental theorem of calculus entire thing bottom a little bit like this. So I'm going to take in this box, and I realize that this is cutting a little bit, so you can move it and adjust this selection. Next thing is something I wasn't able to find in this pull down menu, but I had to look at and go to the help and this user manual and figure out how to move your selections, and you can easily find your task by looking at the titles. What I do here is hold Control and Alt key and press it down, then it's going to hold it, and you can move it wherever you want to move it here, and it's still in that selected. It looks like this because it only selected the content and it is in the transparent background. So if you hit it one more time, it's going to settle on that. So this is a great tool. You will be using this a lot of times to arrange and rewrite and things like that. So one thing I was annoyed at the beginning when I was learning, it's been less than a week to figure out what to do everything with, and decided to switch to this one. It's one thing I was annoyed at here is that once you selected like this and do whatever you wanted to do, and you make sure by tapping, and you have to escape this mode and go to the pen tool. So I'm going to show you when you're in a hurry and selected and I deleted it, so it looks like this. And if you hit this pen mode before you exit the rectangular mode by tapping on it somewhere else, if you do that, what happens is it masks this area, and you're unable to write anywhere else in here. You can only write it in that part. It's going to be useful when you have to sketch something and not worrying about going into the different area or something like that. But if you don't know what's going on, it's quite annoying. So now you have a rectangular mode, and you can escape that and go back to the pen mode and write elsewhere whatever you want. So this is it has multiple functions, and over here make sure you escape that mode before you go to something else. So this is some of the basic things I found this writing and editing tool useful.